So do you support people being canceled for their opinions? No. Except, of course, unless you live in a culture where one side has been canceled for their opinions for a decade plus. In that case, you have to be pragmatic and say, well, this is the world we live in. I'd rather we didn't. I would prefer we lived in a world where in which everyone could say whatever they wanted and not face dire lifestyle repercussions. But in a world where in which one side has decided this is a tool that we're going to use, well, unfortunately, guess what? That tool is now available to everyone. And reciprocity demands that there be some fair and equitable distribution of that tool's use. Now, maybe after we've gotten that out of our system, or they've gotten it out of their system, we'll put it away and say, yeah, you know what? Let's go back to our ideals. Let's go back to our principles. Let's go back to our virtues. And we will simply be a nation, a civilization that values freedom of speech, and is one where in which you could have a group of Jewish lawyers from the ADL passionately defending the right of a out and out legit swastika wearing shaven head neo-Nazi to say horrible things, and they will say, I abhor what you said. I disagree with it in the most vehement terms, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. That's not where we are right now. So, looking at the facts on the ground, do I agree with people being canceled for their opinions? Kinda, yeah. Kinda, yeah. Kinda, I do. Does that make me a hypocrite? It makes me a realist. It makes me a realist. Let's take a gander at some of this stuff here. Now, this is from Arch, from the Archcast, and I've got to play a little bit of this video, and then I'm going to read you a little bit of an article from the Associated Press.
But what about free speech? Mules the left, now that it knows that every single rule, every standard, every law that it itself so eagerly chiseled into stone with which to prosecute its enemies is being turned around against itself.
And we can see that. What has the fallout from the assassination been? It prompted calls for greater civility in the country's political discourse, especially on social media. Now, I'll be completely fair and honest here. I have not seen that at all. I have not seen that from anyone, realistically, except for perhaps the Utah governor. That is the only person who I have seen calling for greater civility. Anything that I have seen has been, this is horrible, and, we need to push back on the insane rhetoric that has been coming out, not only not condemning this assassination, but celebrating it. That's what I've seen. Now, I will also say, hey, look, civility, I think the political assassination of a, again, beloved figure who is, a household name at this point, the fact that there are not American cities burning to the ground. I don't see any news reports of cars on fire, of fiery but mostly peaceful protests. I don't see any of that stuff. That says a lot about the people involved. It says a lot about where civility is, who has it, and who doesn't. But many people have made comments about the Kirk. Come on, man. You're a major news organization. You couldn't get an editor to bubble that out? Come on. About Kirk and the shooting that brought consequences, including firings, which is what we're talking about. And to be perfectly honest, yeah, I'm okay with it. MSNBC political analyst Matthew Dowd lost his job shortly after on-air comments about Kirk, one of the first of many figures to experience similar fallout. Welcome to the party, pal. Office Depot said Friday that it fired a worker at a Michigan store who was seen on video refusing to print flyers for a Kirk vigil and calling them propaganda. Okay, so this person is just straight up not doing their job. Like, hey, your job here is to print flyers at Office Depot. I'm not going to do it because it's my political. And I'm like, okay, it seems completely reasonable for you to get fired because you're not willing to do your job. That seems relatively, not even politically motivated. You just decided you're not going to do your job. Several Delta Airlines employees were also suspended after social media posts that went well beyond healthy, respectful debate, CEO Ed Bastian said in a message to the company. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' education commissioner warned teachers in the state that making disgusting, quote, statements about Kirk's assassination could draw sanctions, including the suspension or revocation of their teaching licenses. A conservative internet personality who is embedded with immigration agents in Chicago filmed a video outside Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's private home in which he urged viewers to take action after Kirk's assassination. Pritzker's office said his security has been increased in recent days. Now, take action. I'm assuming they are mentioning this because this is, and they're just quoting this. They're just quoting take action. I would assume there's probably more context before and after this exact quote, um, which is going to probably be along the lines of take action peacefully, take action in the voting box. I could be wrong, but I would imagine if he had said take action with, you know, your fists or violence or, you know, some kind of call to action that is prosecutable, they would have mentioned that in this article. So the fact of the matter here is that, you know, again, there have been other people that have said things along the lines of take action, and they were taken by those people to mean enact violence, and they did. The fact that one side is not doing this, again, I really think it does say a lot. Um, the fact that this person was, again, a person that millions of people have some degree of a relationship with, a parasocial relationship perhaps, but a relationship nonetheless. That this person is murdered on screen in an incredibly horrible graphic video that, again, at this point, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people have seen at this point. And there is the added pathos of it happening in front of his wife and young children. And his young daughter is running to him for comfort because she's scared of the gunshot noise and the screaming. And yet, you know, he cannot offer comfort because he's in the process of dying, if not already dead. The fact that there is not a response of people marching around, like, you know, being understandably, reasonably angered by this, because this is a person again who is much more a part of their lives than, you know, some just random person who is shot in like a police shooting that, you know, is justified or not. The fact that there's not cars being overturned, there's not, you know, stores being bashed up, that there's not, you know, violence in the streets directly after this, as there have been in other scenarios very similar to this, or, you know, even again, way less inflammatory. It says a lot about the values of the people that are involved in this. I think so. I could be wrong, though. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll say farewell for now. Good luck in all your endeavors, and thanks for your time and attention.